The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness like a glowing jewel. It was bigger than most moons and home to millions of beings from across the galaxy. The station orbited an artificial star that the Council had built 3,000 years ago. This was the heart of galactic civilization. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked through the crystal corridors of the Council chambers. Her footsteps echoed softly as she made her way to another diplomatic meeting. Elena had been Earth's representative for 15 years now. She was proud of how far humanity had come since first contact. 200 years ago, humans had been alone on their small blue planet. They thought they were the only intelligent life in the universe. Then the Zilani ships arrived. The tall, graceful aliens with their silver skin and large eyes had changed everything. They brought news of the Galactic Council and invited Earth to join. Elena remembered the stories her grandmother told about those early days. How scared people were at first. How excited they became when they learned about the wonders waiting among the stars. Humanity had worked so hard to prove they deserved a place in this grand civilization. The Council was made up of 12 different alien races. Each one was special in its own way. The Hegemarchs were the oldest and most powerful. They could read minds and move objects with their thoughts. Their pale blue skin seemed to glow with inner light. They spoke in whispers, but everyone listened when they talked. The Crystalline Collective was made of living crystal beings. They were incredibly smart and logical. They never made mistakes with math or science. Their bodies looked like walking diamonds that sparkled in the station's light. They controlled the galaxy's computer networks and data systems. Then there was the Tidal Empire. These sea creatures lived in giant water-filled ships. They looked like huge octopi with dozens of tentacles. They were master traders and controlled most of the galaxy's water-rich planets. Their cities were beautiful underwater domes filled with strange glowing fish. Elena had learned about all 12 races during her training on Earth. The Scorath were fierce warriors with thick armor-like skin. The Veil Dancers could become invisible and were the galaxy's best spies. The Harmony Singers used music to heal and could make plants grow with their songs. Each race had found their place in the Council's grand design. Humanity was the newest member. The baby of the group. Most aliens saw humans as eager students who were good at fixing things and solving problems. Elena knew this was partly true. Humans were adaptable. They could learn quickly and work with anyone. But she also knew there was more to her species than others realized. She entered the main chamber where today's meeting would take place. The room was enormous, with seats arranged in a perfect circle. Each race had their own section designed for their specific needs. The Tidal Empire's area was filled with water. The Crystalline Collective had special light arrays. The Hegemarchs sat on floating platforms that moved with their thoughts. The human section was simple compared to the others. Plain chairs and a basic table. Elena had always found this amusing. Her people were seen as so ordinary that they needed nothing special, if only they knew the truth. "Good morning, Ambassador Vasquez," came a gentle voice. Elena turned to see Zilani Council member Cirith approaching. His silver skin reflected the chamber's soft lighting. The Zilani had always been kind to humans. They were the ones who discovered Earth and vouched for humanity's membership. "Good morning, Cirith. How are your colonies in the Outer Rim doing?" Elena asked with a smile. "Very well, thanks to the terraforming equipment your people provided. Human engineering continues to amaze us all." Elena nodded politely. This was how most aliens saw humanity, as helpful engineers and mediators. They were happy to have humans around to fix their machines and settle their small disputes. But they never saw humans as equals. Not really. Other council members began arriving. The massive Scorath warriors stomped in wearing their battle armor. The Veil Dancers seemed to appear from nowhere, their forms shimmering like heat waves. The Harmony Singers floated in on platforms of living wood that hummed with musical notes. High Hegemarch Zethkri was the last to arrive. His platform glided silently into the chamber. Elena felt the familiar cold touch in her mind as his psychic abilities brushed against her thoughts. She had learned to create mental barriers, something that seemed to surprise him. Most species couldn't resist Hegemarch mind reading. "Welcome, council members." Zethkri's voice echoed directly in everyone's heads. "Today we discuss the new trade routes through the spiral arm sectors." The meeting proceeded normally. Each race presented their needs and concerns. The Crystalline Collective wanted better data transmission speeds. The Tidal Empire needed more water transport ships. The Scorath were worried about pirates in their territory. When Elena's turn came, she presented humanity's latest contributions. New shield generators that were 30% more efficient than the old ones. Medical scanners that could detect diseases the current technology missed. Improved life support systems that used less power. Once again, humanity proves their worth, said Collective Node Prime 7, the crystalline representative. These improvements will benefit all council members. Elena smiled and thanked them. But inside, she was thinking about other things. Like the messages she received from Earth every week. Reports from human colonies that no one else knew about. Updates on research projects hidden from council oversight. Information about ship construction in deep space where no alien sensors could detect them. For 200 years, humanity had been playing a careful game. They appeared grateful, helpful, and harmless. They shared some of their technology but kept the really good stuff secret. They built colonies where the council expected them to, but also established hidden bases in dark space between the stars. Every human trade ship that visited alien worlds carried more than goods. They had advanced scanners that mapped military installations. They recorded fleet movements and defensive capabilities. They identified weaknesses in alien technology and society. The exploration missions that the Council praised were gathering intelligence on every star system. Human scientists studied alien weapons and found ways to defeat them. Human engineers reverse-engineered Council technology and made it better. All of this information flowed back to Earth through secret communication networks. The Council thought humans used simple radio transmissions. They had no idea about the quantum entanglement communicators hidden in every human ship. Elena knew that back on Earth, massive computer systems were analyzing all this data. Military strategists were planning for possibilities that everyone hoped would never happen. Shipyards and hidden asteroid bases were building vessels that would shock the galaxy if they ever had to be revealed. But Elena also hoped this would never be necessary. She genuinely liked many of the aliens she worked with. The Zelani were good friends. Even some of the proud Hegemarchs could be reasonable when they tried. The council system mostly worked well. There was peace among the stars. As the meeting ended, Elena gathered her notes and prepared to leave. Tomorrow there would be another session about mining rights. Next week they would discuss scientific exchange programs, the routine business of a galaxy at peace. She walked back through the crystal corridors toward the human embassy section. Behind her, the other races were also leaving. Some teleported away with advanced technology. Others flew off in ships that could cross the galaxy in hours. Elena took the simple transport pod that carried her to the human quarters. As she traveled through Nexus Prime's vast interior, she looked out at the millions of beings living and working together. Different species cooperating for the good of all. It really was beautiful. A golden age of peace and prosperity among the stars. Elena truly hoped it would last forever, but deep in her heart she knew that her species was ready if it didn't. Elena felt the cold touch in her mind again during the morning briefing. It was subtle, like ice water trickling through her thoughts. High Hegemarch Zethkri was supposed to be listening to the trade reports, but Elena could sense his psychic fingers probing her memories. This was the third time this week. The Hegemarchs were getting bolder with their mental intrusions. Elena had trained for years to resist psychic attacks, something most humans could do naturally. But these probes were different. They felt desperate, searching for something specific. After the meeting, Elena approached Zethkri directly. His pale blue skin seemed to pulse with inner light as she walked toward his floating platform. "Hi, Hegemarch, I need to discuss a concern with you," Elena said formally, his large black eyes fixed on her. "Speak, human representative." "The psychic probing during council sessions violates our agreements. Article 7 of the council charter forbids mental intrusion without consent." Zethkri's expression didn't change. "I sense no such activity. Perhaps humans are more paranoid than we realized." Elena felt another probe as he spoke, stronger this time. He was testing her defenses even now. "I'm filing a formal complaint with the Council Ethics Committee. Do as you wish. Your concerns will be given proper consideration." But Elena knew that wouldn't happen. Over the next few days, she approached other council members about the psychic violations. The Crystalline Collective dismissed her concerns as emotional human overreaction. The Skorath said mind reading was common in warfare, and Elena should adapt. Even the friendly Zelani seemed uncomfortable discussing it. Only 4 other races supported Elena's complaint. The Harmony Singers said they felt the wrongness of forced mental contact. The Veil Dancers knew about invasion and privacy, Two smaller races agreed but seemed scared to speak too loudly. Elena sent detailed reports back to Earth about the situation. She used the hidden quantum communicators to transmit everything the Council didn't know about Hegemarch activities. The response from Earth was concerning. Intelligence networks had detected unusual movement in Hegemarch space. Their fleets were conducting secret exercises. Meanwhile, Zethkri was having his own meetings. In the depths of Nexus Prime, in chambers hidden from Council oversight, he gathered representatives from 6 other races. The human threat grows daily, he told them, his thoughts flowing directly into their minds. My deep probes have confirmed our worst fears. Collective Node Prime 7's crystal body flickered with processing lights. Explain this threat assessment. Human minds are unlike any we have encountered. They possess natural psychic resistance that makes them unpredictable. Worse, their thought patterns show strategic complexity that rivals our own ancient intellects. Admiral Torax of the Tidal Empire shifted his massive tentacles. Humans seem peaceful. They follow Council directives without question. That is the deception. Zethkri projected images into their minds. Observe their colony patterns. They request permission for specific worlds but establish settlements in patterns that suggest military thinking. Their trade routes create supply lines perfect for fleet movement. Their exploration missions map strategic resources across the galaxy. The Skorath war leader Graksh pounded his armored fist. You suggest they plan conquest? I suggest they plan for every possibility, including the conquest of us all. Zethkri shared the mental images he had stolen from Elena's mind during his probes, fragments of memories about Earth's preparations, glimpses of hidden shipyards and secret technologies, pieces of conversations about contingency plans. The humans hide their true capabilities, he continued. Their public technology is primitive compared to what they actually possess. They study our weaknesses while pretending to be grateful students. The Void Shepherd's representative spoke through translated harmonics. What do you propose? Prevention. We eliminate the threat before it can mature. The room fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. These were ancient races, some older than human civilization. The idea that the galaxy's newest species could threaten them seemed impossible, but Zethkri's evidence was compelling. The Hegemarchs had ruled through psychic dominance for millennia. If humans were naturally resistant to mental control, they could eventually challenge that dominance. If they were as strategically minded as the probe suggested, they would find ways to defeat every council race. The Crystalline Collective calculates a 67% probability of future human dominance based on current trends. Node Prime 7 announced. This is unacceptable. Admiral Torax's color patterns shifted to show agreement. The Tidal Empire fears human expansion into our water worlds. Their terraforming technology could steal our colonies. One by one, the conspirators agreed. 7 races decided that humanity must be stopped before they became unstoppable. They began planning immediately. The frame-up would be perfect. They would stage an attack on Nexus Prime during the Grand Assembly, when all races were present. The evidence would point clearly to human terrorists. The other 5 council races would have to support military action to preserve galactic security. Zethkri assigned tasks to each conspirator. The Crystalline Collective would fabricate digital evidence. The Skorath would provide weapons with human signatures. The Tidal Empire would coordinate fleet movements. The others would handle witness testimony and political cover. Elena continued her daily duties unaware of the conspiracy forming around her. She noticed increased security around the Hegemarch sections of Nexus Prime. She observed more private meetings between certain council members, but she attributed this to normal political maneuvering. The quantum communications from Earth carried warnings about unusual alien fleet movements. Intelligence suggested several races were conducting joint exercises. But there had been many such exercises over the years. It seemed like routine military cooperation. Elena did notice that the psychic probing had stopped. Zethkri no longer invaded her thoughts during meetings. She assumed her formal complaint had worked. In reality, he had learned everything he needed to know. 2 weeks before the Grand Assembly, Elena received a message that made her smile. Her daughter was graduating from the Space Academy on Luna. Elena requested leave to attend the ceremony, but the council denied it. They needed all representatives present for the important trade negotiations. Elena was disappointed but understood. The Grand Assembly only happened every 100 years. It was the most important diplomatic event in the galaxy. She sent her congratulations to her daughter through the official channels and prepared for the historic gathering. She had no way of knowing that the conspirators had specifically timed their attack to keep her on Nexus Prime. They wanted the human representative present when the accusations began. They wanted her visible when the evidence was revealed. They wanted everyone to see humanity's guilt written on her face. The night before the Grand Assembly, Elena walked through the observation decks of Nexus Prime. She looked out at the artificial star that provided light and energy for the massive station. Tomorrow, representatives from all 12 races would gather to sign new agreements that would govern galactic civilization for the next century. It should have been a celebration of peace and cooperation, a testament to how different species could work together for the common good. Elena felt proud that humanity was part of this grand alliance. She couldn't see the Hegemarch assassination teams moving through the station's shadows. She couldn't detect the bombs being placed in the Zilani Embassy district. She couldn't sense the false evidence being planted in human quarters. The trap was set. Tomorrow, humanity would be branded as terrorists and traitors. The 7 conspirator races would have their justification for war, and Elena would watch her species' reputation destroyed in a single moment of orchestrated violence. But the conspirators had made one critical error in their planning. They assumed that framing humanity would leave them helpless and alone. They believed that without council support, human civilization would quickly collapse under a coordinated attack. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for exactly this scenario for 200 years. The explosion ripped through the Zilani Embassy district like the anger of a dying star. Elena felt the deck shake beneath her feet as alarms screamed throughout Nexus Prime. Emergency lights bathed the council chambers in red as automated systems sealed blast doors and activated atmospheric containment fields. What happened? Elena shouted over the noise, grabbing the nearest communication panel. The answer came in fragments from emergency broadcasts. Massive explosion. Zilani Embassy destroyed. Thousands dead. Primary fusion reactor damaged. Station losing power. Elena's blood ran cold. The Zilani had been humanity's strongest supporters on the council. They were the ones who first welcomed Earth into galactic civilization. If someone had attacked them, it could destabilize everything. Within minutes, security forces swarmed the council chambers. But they weren't there to protect the representatives. They were there to arrest someone. Ambassador Elena Vasquez. High Hegemarch Zethkri's voice echoed in her mind. You will surrender yourself for questioning immediately. What? Why would I need to surrender? Elena stepped back, confused. Collective Node Prime 7's crystal form approached, processing lights flashing rapidly. Evidence indicates human involvement in the terrorist attack. Digital signatures match human manufacturing standards. Chemical residue suggests human explosives. That's impossible. Humans would never attack the Zilani. They're our friends. But more evidence kept coming. Skorath security forces reported finding bomb components with clear human technological signatures. Intercepted communications allegedly showed human terrorist cells planning the attack. Witnesses claimed to have seen human operatives near the explosion site. Elena's mind raced. The evidence was too perfect, too convenient. Someone was framing humanity, but she couldn't prove it. The communications were encrypted with codes she didn't recognize. The witnesses gave testimony through psychic channels she couldn't verify. This is a setup, she said desperately. Someone is trying to make it look like humans did this. Human paranoia and deflection, War Leader Graksh of the Skorath announced. Typical behavior when caught in criminal acts. Admiral Torax's tentacles writhed with agitation. The tidal empire demands immediate action against human space. This terrorism cannot go unpunished. Elena activated her emergency communicator, trying to reach Earth through official channels, but the signal was being jammed. Someone was blocking her transmission. She switched to the hidden quantum communicator concealed in her jacket, managing to send a brief burst transmission before security forces surrounded her. It's a trap, she broadcast. 7 species, conspiracy. They're coming for... Hegemarch security guards grabbed her arms with psychic force, lifting her off the ground. Their mental pressure tried to crush her thoughts, but Elena's trained resistance held. She could feel Zethkri's surprise that she was still conscious. As they dragged her away, Elena saw the council chamber erupting in chaos. The 7 conspirator races were calling for immediate military action. The 5 loyal species were demanding a proper investigation. Arguments echoed through the vast space as ancient alliances cracked under pressure. The vote came faster than Elena had thought possible. Before she was even locked in detention, the Council had voted to suspend humanity's membership and authorize protective military action against Earth and her colonies. 7 votes in favor, 5 against. The Zilani representative, his silver skin pale with grief for his dead people, spoke with tears in his large eyes. "This is wrong. Humans would not do this. Someone is manipulating us." But his voice was drowned out by calls for justice and revenge. The harmony singers tried to project calming music, but their songs were overwhelmed by the anger in the chamber. The veil dancers attempted to investigate the evidence, but their access was blocked by security protocols. Within hours, the largest military fleet in galactic history began assembling. 1,200 warships from 7 different species, each bringing their most advanced weapons and shields. Hegemarch dreadnoughts with psychic amplifiers that could drive entire populations insane. Crystalline data warfare ships that could shut down all computer systems on a planet. Skorath battlecruisers designed to crack open fortress worlds. High Hegemarch Zethkri stood on the bridge of his flagship, the pride of Zethkri, and felt satisfaction wash through his ancient mind. The plan had worked perfectly. Humanity was isolated, their representative captured, their reputation destroyed. The other council races would support the military action to prevent future terrorism. Long-range sensors show human fleet positions, reported his tactical officer. Scattered across 12 systems, no unified defense formation. They appear to be conducting routine patrols and exploration missions. Excellent. They were caught completely unprepared. We will destroy their outer defenses first, then demand Earth's unconditional surrender. The combined fleet entered hyperspace, moving toward human territory at maximum speed. Zethkri calculated they would reach the outer human colonies within 3 standard days. The scattered human ships would be destroyed piecemeal. Earth's orbital platforms would fall to concentrated bombardment. The war would be over before it truly began. In her detention cell, Elena paced frantically. The walls were lined with psychic dampening fields that made her head ache. She could hear the station's emergency systems working to repair damage from the explosion. But she could also hear something else. The deep thrumming of massive engines as warships departed for human space. A guard brought her food and news. The combined fleet had launched. Intelligence suggested humanity's military was in chaos. Their ships spread too thin to mount effective resistance. The war would likely end within a week with minimal casualties. Elena almost laughed at the irony. If only they knew what they were really attacking. For 2 centuries, humanity had maintained the illusion of being a peaceful, helpful species with modest military capabilities. They had allowed aliens to see exactly what they wanted to see, grateful junior partners with useful technology but no real power. The truth was very different. Every human trade ship carried military-grade sensors that had been mapping alien defenses for decades. Every exploration mission had established hidden supply bases and weapon caches. Every colony world was actually a fortress with concealed orbital platforms and underground bunkers. And in the dark spaces between stars, where no alien sensors could detect them, humanity had built the largest military fleet in galactic history, not 1,200 ships but over 3,000. Not simple patrol vessels, but advanced warships equipped with technology that made alien weapons look like primitive clubs. Elena knew about Admiral Sarah Chen, Earth's top military strategist, a woman who had spent her entire career planning for this exact scenario. Chen had always said that if humanity was ever betrayed by the Council, their response would be swift, overwhelming, and total. Protocol 7 was probably already activated. Hidden facilities across human space would be revealing themselves. Automated shipyards would be launching their completed vessels. And somewhere in the dark between Earth and Luna, Admiral Chen would be taking command of humanity's true fleet. The aliens thought they were attacking a scattered collection of peaceful colonies protected by a few patrol ships. Instead, they were flying into the teeth of a military machine that had been designed for one purpose: the complete destruction of advanced alien civilizations. Elena sat down on her narrow bed and closed her eyes. She felt sorry for the 5 loyal council races who would witness what was coming. The Zilani, who had been humanity's first friends among the stars, the harmony singers and veil dancers who had supported justice and truth. They would learn today that kindness and patience were not the same as weakness. The conspirators wanted to see humanity's true nature. They were about to get their wish, and Elena suspected they would regret it for whatever brief time they had left. Outside her cell, alarms were already beginning to sound again. Not emergency alarms this time, but military alerts. Long-range sensors were detecting massive energy signatures in deep space. Ships appearing where no ships should exist. The human fleet had arrived, and it was nothing like what the aliens expected. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center on Luna Base, watching displays that showed the true scope of humanity's hidden power. For 200 years she had prepared for this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do when pushed too far. "Activate Protocol 7, she commanded. Across human space, the galaxy's greatest deception came to an end. Trade stations revealed themselves as military command centers. Civilian colonies dropped their peaceful disguises to show fortress worlds bristling with weapons. Mining asteroids opened like flowers to release fleets of warships that had been hidden inside. The exploration base in the Tau Ceti system powered up its real purpose, a massive shipyard that had been building advanced warships for 50 years. Automated construction facilities that the Council had never detected began launching vessel after vessel into the darkness. Sarah's tactical display showed the alien fleet approaching Earth's outer colonies, 1,200 ships from 7 species, confident they were attacking a helpless target. They had no idea they were flying into the greatest military trap in galactic history. "Ma'am, all hidden facilities are online," reported her tactical officer. "Hidden fleet strength is now at 2,800 vessels and climbing as automated yards continue launching." Sarah smiled grimly. "Signal all ships. Today we show the galaxy why you never betray humanity." The human fleet that emerged from dark space was nothing like what the aliens expected. Where they thought they would face simple patrol ships, they found advanced dreadnoughts with armor that could withstand planet-cracking weapons. Where they expected basic defensive platforms, they discovered orbital fortresses with enough firepower to sterilize continents. Each human warship was a masterpiece of technology that combined the best innovations from all 12 Council races. But humanity had improved on everything they learned. Hegemarch psychic amplifiers became neural disruptors that could shut down alien brains. Crystalline data systems became quantum computers that could hack any alien network in seconds. Skorath armor became reactive plating that grew stronger with each hit. But the real surprise was humanity's artificial intelligence. While other races feared giving machines too much independence, humans had embraced AI as partners in warfare. Every human ship carried AI systems that could think and react faster than any organic crew. These electronic minds processed battle data at superhuman speeds and coordinated attacks with perfect precision. High Hegemarch Zethkri felt the first touch of fear as his sensors registered. The massive human fleet. "This is impossible. Our intelligence showed only scattered patrol vessels." "Sir, long-range scans indicate advanced alien technology, but improved beyond our understanding," his tactical officer reported. "Their weapon signatures don't match any known human designs." "Because those aren't our real designs." Admiral Chen's voice suddenly filled the alien bridge. Somehow human AI had hacked through their most secure communications. "For 2 centuries we've shown you exactly what you wanted to see. Peaceful, helpful humans with modest technology. We lied. The first human attack came without warning. Kinetic bombardment platforms that had been hidden in asteroid fields opened fire. Solid metal projectiles traveling at near light speed punched through alien shields like they were made of paper. 3 Skorath battlecruisers simply ceased to exist, torn apart by impacts that released the energy of nuclear weapons. The alien fleet tried to respond, but their targeting systems were already compromised. Human AI had infiltrated their networks the moment they entered the system. Weapons fired at false targets while real human ships moved freely through gaps in their formation. Crystalline Collective Node Prime 7 watched his data warfare ships burn as human. Cyber attacks turned their own weapons against them. Human information warfare. Capabilities exceed our projections by orders of magnitude. Admiral Torax of the Tidal Empire saw his flagship's water-filled corridors boiling as human quantum disruptors tore apart the molecular bonds holding his ship together. His last transmission was a warning that arrived too late. Retreat. It's a trap. The humans are. War leader Grax tried to ram his remaining ships into the human formation, but human AI predicted every move. Precise beam weapons cut his vessels apart with surgical precision. The proud Skorath warrior who had demanded human blood found himself floating in space, his life support failing, watching his fleet die around him. On Nexus Prime, Elena heard the sounds of battle echoing through the station's hull. Her guards had abandoned their post to deal with multiple emergencies. The 5 loyal council races were demanding explanations. Refugee ships were fleeing in all directions as word spread of humanity's overwhelming counterattack. Elena's cell door opened, but not because of rescue. High Hegemarch Zethkri stood there, his pale blue skin now gray with shock and exhaustion. His psychic powers were failing as his concentration cracked under the weight of watching his fleet burn. "How?" he whispered. "Our intelligence was perfect. We knew about your colonies, your trade routes, your military strength. You knew what we wanted you to know," Elena said calmly. "Did you really think a species that survived ice ages, world wars, and nuclear weapons would enter galactic politics without backup plans? The probe of your mind showed scattered defenses, simple technologies. You saw what I was trained to show you. Every human learns mental resistance from childhood. We've been ready for psychic attacks since first contact." Zethkri staggered, leaning against the cell wall. His flagship was gone, destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist. His fleet was scattered, running for their lives from human ships that moved like deadly dancers through space. "We made you peaceful traders and diplomats to threaten us?" Elena stood and walked to the cell's small window. Outside, she could see alien ships fleeing Nexus Prime as panic spread through the station. "We made you see what you wanted to see. You thought kindness was weakness. You thought patience was stupidity. You thought being helpful meant being harmless." The battle reports continued streaming in. The human fleet hadn't just won. They had achieved total victory with minimal losses. Advanced human ships surrounded every alien homeworld. Quantum communication networks carried surrender demands to 7 civilizations that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. Admiral Chen's voice reached every alien vessel simultaneously. "To the 7 species who betrayed the Council, you have exactly 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Any ship that fails to comply will be destroyed. Any world that resists will face orbital bombardment. You wanted to see humanity's true nature. Congratulations." The Void Shepherds tried to flee to their home dimension, but human reality anchors held them in normal space. The Shadow Collective attempted to hide in dark matter clouds, but human sensors tracked them perfectly. One by one, the conspirator races found their most secret technologies useless against human countermeasures. Elena watched Zethkri collapse as the weight of his failure crushed his ancient mind. "Your people ruled through fear and psychic dominance for 3,000 years. You forgot that some species can't be dominated, some minds can't be controlled. What will you do to us?" he asked weakly. "That depends on how quickly you surrender. Humanity isn't cruel, but we're very thorough. The 7 species that betrayed us will never threaten anyone again. The 5 loyal species will be protected and honored as our true allies." Outside, the last alien warships were powering down their weapons and transmitting surrender codes. In less than 6 hours, humanity had gone from framed terrorists to galactic conquerors. The greatest military force in known space had been revealed, and it belonged to the species everyone had underestimated. Elena heard footsteps in the corridor. Human Marines in advanced armor were sweeping the station, securing critical areas and rescuing their ambassador. The sound of human boots on alien metal rang like victory drums through the halls of Nexus Prime. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human rule had begun, forged in the fires of betrayal and delivered with the overwhelming force of technological superiority that had been hidden for 2 centuries. And across the galaxy, surviving aliens learned a lesson that would echo through the stars forever. Never mistake human patience for human weakness. The battle was over before it really began. Admiral Sarah Chen watched her tactical displays as the last alien resistance crumbled across 7 star systems. What the conspirators had called their greatest fleet in galactic history was now floating debris and surrender signals. "Final casualty reports, Admiral," her tactical officer announced. "Enemy losses: 1,147 vessels destroyed, 53 vessels captured. Our losses: 12 ships damaged, 0 ships destroyed, 43 crew members injured, 0 fatalities." Sarah nodded grimly. It hadn't been a battle. It had been an execution. The alien races had spent centuries becoming comfortable with their dominance. They had forgotten that warfare was about more than having bigger guns. It was about preparation, strategy, and the will to do whatever was necessary to win. Open channels to all alien homeworlds, Sarah commanded. It's time to explain the new rules. Across the galaxy, her image appeared on every screen and communication device. The alien saw a middle-aged human woman in a simple military uniform. She looked ordinary, unremarkable, just another human, but her words would reshape galactic civilization. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. Your fleets have been destroyed. Your weapons are useless. Your homeworlds are surrounded. You have exactly 24 hours to surrender unconditionally, or we will demonstrate what total annihilation really means. The response was swift from most worlds. The crystalline collective's perfect logic recognized the futility of continued resistance. Their surrender came with mathematical precision, complete with detailed plans for integration into human space. The Void Shepherds tried to negotiate terms but quickly agreed to complete submission when human reality anchors prevented their escape to other dimensions. The Skorath War Council chose death before dishonor. Their homeworld's response was a declaration of eternal war against humanity. Admiral Chen received their message and simply nodded. Very well. Demonstrate Protocol Omega on the Skorath homeworld. The Skorath had built their capital city inside a mountain range, thinking it would protect them from orbital bombardment. They learned that human weapons didn't need to penetrate defenses. The quantum disruptor array simply turned the entire mountain range into a cloud of subatomic particles. 4 billion Skorath warriors died in 3 seconds. Their atoms scattered to the solar winds. The remaining alien worlds watched the recordings and sent immediate surrender transmissions. Back on Nexus Prime, Elena walked through corridors that now flew human flags alongside the banners of loyal species. The station itself had become a symbol of the new order. 5 races had voted against humanity's betrayal and would be honored as trusted allies. 7 races had chosen treachery and would serve as examples of human justice. High Hegemarch Zethkri sat in a detention cell much like the one he had put Elena in. But his cell had psychic dampening fields strong enough to give him constant headaches. He could no longer touch other minds or float his platform. For the first time in 3 millennia, he was just another prisoner. The irony is beautiful, Elena said as she visited him. You used psychic powers to dominate other species for thousands of years. Now you get to experience what it's like to be powerless. You humans are monsters, Zethkri whispered. We ruled with order and stability. You bring only destruction. We brought justice. You betrayed the Council's laws and attacked an innocent species based on lies and fear. The destruction was your choice. Elena held up a datapad showing the reorganization plans. The Hegemarch species will survive, but never again as rulers. Your psychic powers will be monitored and limited. Your technology will be shared freely instead of hoarded. Your worlds will be governed by elected leaders instead of ancient tyrants. The transformation was happening across the galaxy. Human administrators worked with loyal alien species to establish new governments on the conquered worlds. The old council system of species-based representation was replaced with individual rights and democratic elections. The Zelani, still grieving their dead from the false flag attack, became humanity's closest partners in building the new order. Their natural diplomacy helped smooth tensions between various species. The Harmony Singers used their music to heal the psychological wounds of war. The Veil Dancers became agents of the new government, ensuring that no future conspiracies could form. Admiral Chen established her headquarters on Earth's moon, in chambers that looked out at the blue marble of humanity's birth world. She had become the most powerful being in galactic history, commanding a military force that could destroy civilizations at will, but she was still answerable to the democratic government of Earth. President Martinez arrived for their weekly briefing, bringing reports from the integration committees. The former collective worlds are adapting well to individual citizenship rights. The tidal Empire colonies are struggling with the concept of elected leadership. The Skorath survivors are difficult. The Skorath chose their fate, Sarah replied. The survivors can adapt to peaceful civilization or join their warriors in extinction. I won't lose sleep over their difficulties. What about the long-term plan? We can't rule through fear forever. Sarah turned to look at Earth through the transparent aluminum window. Her homeworld looked so peaceful from here. It was hard to remember that this small planet now commanded an empire spanning 47 star systems. Fear is just the beginning. The aliens need to understand that human patience has limits. But once they accept the new order, we can begin building something better than the Council ever was. The integration was proceeding faster than anyone had expected. Alien scientists were amazed by human technology and eager to contribute their own knowledge. Former enemies were becoming research partners as they worked together on projects that benefited everyone. Human medical technology, combined with alien biological knowledge, was producing cures for diseases that had plagued various species for millennia. Human engineering merged with alien materials. Science was creating ships that could explore distant galaxies. Human AI worked with alien consciousness research to create new forms of artificial life. But the most important change was philosophical. The old council had been based on species hierarchy and specialized roles. The new Terran Council was based on individual merit and democratic representation. A crystalline engineer could work alongside a human artist and a Zilani diplomat as equals. Elena had been elected as the first human High Chancellor of the new council. Her inaugural speech was broadcast to every world in human space, reaching billions of beings from dozens of different species. 200 years ago, humanity entered galactic civilization as grateful students. We learned from you, worked with you, and counted many of you as friends. We hoped that cooperation and mutual respect would be enough to build a peaceful future. She paused, looking out at the mixed audience of humans and aliens in the new council chambers on Luna. Some of you chose to see our kindness as weakness. You decided that our patience meant we were harmless. You betrayed the principles of cooperation and chose the path of treachery and war. The alien representatives sat in uncomfortable silence. They had all seen the recordings of the Skorath homeworld's destruction. They understood exactly how harmless humanity actually was. But today begins a new age. An age where individual worth matters more than species origin. Where democratic representation replaces ancient hierarchies. Where cooperation is chosen, not forced through fear or psychic domination. Elena's voice grew stronger as she reached the core of her message. To our former enemies who chose surrender over extinction, you will be given the chance to earn redemption through peaceful contribution to galactic civilization. To our loyal allies who stood with us during the betrayal, you will be honored as the founding partners of our new order. The speech ended with a warning that would be remembered for generations. And to anyone, human or alien, who thinks that our mercy means we have forgotten how to wage war, remember the Skorath. Remember that humanity's greatest strength was never our weapons or our ships. It was our ability to appear harmless while preparing for the worst. Outside the council chambers, the new flag of the Terran Council flew in Luna's artificial atmosphere. It combined symbols from all the loyal species. But the central image was clear: Earth, the small blue world that had conquered the galaxy through patience, preparation, and the overwhelming application of force when betrayed. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of human dominance had begun, built on the ashes of civilizations that had chosen to test humanity's patience. And across the galaxy, the lesson echoed among the stars. Never mistake human kindness for human weakness, because the difference between the two could determine whether your species lived or died. In the end, the galaxy had learned to fear not human cruelty, but human justice, and perhaps that was the most human thing of all.